Welcome back to the A3A Podcast. I'm Nick.
I'm Walter.
I'm Justin.
And today we're going to dive right into the NFL.
Let's get it kicked off. Might as well start with
Unintended kickoff.
I gotta stop doing that because I gotta stop doing that because I don't like giving that to you. The Eagles, right? They played Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to say that they'd have 2 wins without Saquon?
It might be. He like every time you look, he just has 150 yards and at least a touchdown on the ground. Don't even mention the air stuff too. But he's so freaking good this year, man.
It's a shame. It's such a shame.
I don't know.
Such a damn shame.
His presence on the team would have really helped Daniel Jones too much for the Giants. But
he was on the team for how long? And they had 1 winning season.
True. Yeah.
I can't stand that argument. I actually was just listening to something before I came on, and they were talking about the Giants picked Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. And it's like they did, but in the same breath, like Saquon wasn't making a difference beforehand. He went and made a difference now. It was better for them just to both move on. So
yeah, and sometimes it's just a better fit for the player elsewhere. Like they, he had a decent career with the Giants. He contributed to at least one playoff team, and when he was healthy, he was effective. But sometimes just going elsewhere, and the Eagles with their offensive line, even though they don't have Jason Kelce and the weapons that they have on the outside, that might just be what Barkley needed to really flourish. And whatever he's doing with his body physically to, keep himself healthy. It's obviously.
Let's just say that's a big thing too, because with the Giants, he was never fully healthy. I mean, maybe 2 full seasons played, I think. Other than that, he's missed not even just 1 game. Usually it's like a chain of games. So, I think he's the difference with the Eagles. I think the record is flipped without him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what's crazy too is just Hurts, 2 years ago he was almost playing at an MVP level. I think Mahomes won the MVP that year. They both but he's just kind of flipped too. Not really. I mean, he's managing the game. He's not really making crazy plays. He's still doing his tush push thing. But if you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and those weapons, you would expect more production from him.
I mean, as long as he's not making mistakes and losing them games.
They're still 8-2 or something. Those so it's not like it's detrimental to them. But once playoff time comes, you want your guy to be playing at a higher levels that if you can count on him when you need him.
Yeah, I haven't really watched too much of the Eagles this year. I'm not sure how he's been in clutch situations, but I don't really have too much else on the Eagles though.
Yeah.
No. Obviously, we just mentioned it. Daniel Jones' era is over. Thank goodness.
Bring on the cutlets.
Yeah. Where's the Italian? I don't think Tommy DeVito is going to be the answer. But it had apparently it's not Drew Lock because he was injured in preseason and didn't get that much time. I mean, it's game 10? I'm pretty sure he's into it now. I'm pretty sure
if he's been the backup, especially he should have plenty of time. I feel like DeVito's just a stopgap, and they just need to get Jones out of there so that they aren't.
Well, that and I feel like the answer on Drew Lock has already been answered. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL.
No. I think he's a good spot start kind of guy, but not full on starter.
And I think DeVito has a little bit of promise to him because of that whole spark last year. And I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, it's gonna be unfair to judge him too. And now it's we're kind of in the same position as when we drafted Daniel Jones of just okay, now how do you judge him because the team is ass? So how can you? I don't know. I think it's Daniel Jones made it very obvious, I think, but people were willing to hold out because of how bad the Giants were, and then it just finally came to realization that like, oh wow, he's actually really bad.
Yeah, and I don't know if they release him. I don't know what you can get for it in a trade for him. Like I don't know if he'd be in the same class, but like Mac Jones, I think got like a 6 or 7 round pick for the Jags. So maybe you can get something from him, and he can go elsewhere and be a backup.
Honestly, I don't even care about getting anything for him. I just want him gone. I really don't.
Just wipe the slate
care.
clean. Yeah,
I don't
know how it works in football, but I feel like with his contract, wouldn't a team have to like pay to take him on? Like give up a pick?
So if they trade him, I think the Giants would. Well, I think either way, the Giants would be on the.
Also,
they would have to pay.
I think Daniel Jones got to be a little bit realistic, and he could probably say he'll negotiate, like, and restructure the contract after the trade. So,
right,
true, yeah. But I don't think because like there's some like weird stipulation with his contract. Like, I think it's like a team opt out or something. Like after
they made it easy to get out.
Exactly. Yeah.
They made it easy to get out.
Whoever takes him on, they're probably not going to be on the hook for the amount that he's getting paid right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think any team's gonna have to worry about that, and it's gonna be. I don't even think a really bad team takes him. I think it's a team that needs just a backup just in case.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have an idea where he goes.
The Jaguars.
They already got Mac Jones. Is not good enough?
They're just gonna collect.
Like the Joneses, yeah. Have a infinity gauntlet of Joneses.
How messed up would it be if he went to the Jets?
Yo, and then he flourished. Like he was just like he was way better than Rodgers and like Zach
that would be it for me.
Everything.
That would be it for me. I'm not watching the NFL anymore. All right. I think we can move on. Right.
Yeah.
What else do I got here? I wanted to talk about the Steelers for a little bit because we haven't talked about them too much all year, but I want to talk about them. So this past weekend was their first conference game, their first division game,
which is nuts.
Which is nuts.
Season. Yeah.
So who they have left is Cleveland, Cincinnati, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Cincinnati again. It's not the easiest slate.
No, it's not.
I mean, Cincinnati's they're done. So I don't know.
It's going to be a tough game either way.
It'll be a tough game because it's division, and they got Joe Burrow playing well. Then 3 games in a row, like Cincinnati, Philly, and Baltimore, and then they got to play the Chiefs.
Yeah,
that is a stretch.
Yeah.
So I wrote down a fun fact. So Russell Wilson has now played 4 games. He almost has the same amount of passing yards as Justin Fields has, and Justin Fields has played in 7 games.
That's not really much of a shock.
But it is Russell Wilson, so it is a little bit of a shock.
Most people kind of trash on him for his time in Denver, but like he wasn't as bad. Like the first year, yes, terrible. He was really bad. I don't like. There was always that stat floating around Twitter where, we're keeping track of how many touchdowns Russell Wilson has to see if at the end of the year he'll have more bathrooms in his house or touchdowns because he has like 13 bathrooms in his house or something crazy like that, right? But that second year, he was actually decent and in a tough situation where Sean Payton just flat out didn't want him to be the quarterback. So he's still like, I don't want to say thrived, but they were at least in like 7 seed playoff contention.
Here's the problem with that. Like, yeah, they were in playoff contention, but they weren't winning enough as they should. Clearly, they take Bo Nix now, and I mean, they're doing pretty good now.
Yeah.
So, like, one, you have that flip of like, okay, you get rid of Russell, now you have Bo Nix, and then it's like kind of boom, they're kind of starting to take off a little bit. And 2, just because your stats are okay doesn't mean like in my opinion, he's a total distraction. Now he's on the Steelers, he's pretty quiet and just doing him like before like the whole like pregame of like going through his huddle ritual with literally nobody around him, like,
Yeah.
and then like having a parking space for him and then like a few other of his family members.
I think in Denver he had his own
Yeah.
office.
Yeah, like all of that stuff when you're not winning, like that's going to make people not like you and that's going to make animosity in the locker room.
Yeah.
So I think that's the real reason Russell Wilson wasn't working in Denver is not necessarily like the stats, but just all the other stuff that came with Russell Wilson. And then he got to the Steelers and he's doing a much better job of just like, I'm not going to try to be this TV character, as what Pat McAfee used to call him. I'm just gonna do Russell Wilson things.
Yeah, because he was really bad at it. He was a very like.
It was clearly fake. It was clearly a front.
Yeah, it really was. But I think this is just more of a credit to Mike Tomlin and his ability to coach because he has this team at 8-2, despite starting off the season
just beating Baltimore.
Just beating Baltimore too, who we've kind of raved on this podcast for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But he has them at top of that division, despite like not a quarterback controversy, but you're kind of playing with two different quarterbacks, different personalities, and you still have a very strong team around them that they're kind of just going right behind whoever is leading them at the quarterback position. So I like year by year, I'm just amazed at Mike Tomlin's ability to kind of keep this thing together. Yes, he hasn't had the playoff success that you would like, but just like the consistency that he has is really astounding.
Yeah, and I was looking through a few more stats. I was trying to just find something that like stood out to me, to be honest, and not too much other than so this is a crazy stat line. So you know how most good teams, they have like their number one receiver with like, let's say a set amount of yards, and then the number two guy isn't too far behind. Well, George Pickens has 728 yards on the season. The next closest is Pat Freiermuth with 295 yards.
Oh my god!
Whoa,
jeez! You would even think like Najee Harris would be like a little bit higher than that. Like I feel like he had to go out of the backfield too. But damn, that's a big gap.
Massive gap, and they have 2 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns, and that's it for each. Yeah, and then the only other thing is disciplined football. They only have 48 penalties on the year versus their opponents who have 63. So that's kind of a big difference.
That does.
Yeah. But it's weird because it's not like anything jumps out at you when you're looking at anything. They're just kind of winning.
Yeah, I feel like they could end up being like yes, they were pretty good in the regular season, but then once playoff game comes in, it kind of teeter out. I wouldn't be surprised at it. I also would really be surprised if they ended up winning a playoff game, because they have that infrastructure that works.
Mike Tomlin's there, so you never
exactly.
I won't really doubt him.
Yeah. So overall, it was a really tight game, but they held Lamar in check. I don't think really Derrick Henry got going too much, and you win your first division game of the year, and you're kind of sitting pretty up atop the AFC North.
Yep. Any other thoughts on the Steelers or?
Not the Steelers, but the AFC North. Yes, I just want to talk about the Bengals because the season that they're having, despite the just honestly, it kind of feels like Brady and Randy Moss with Burrow and Chase. Like they are playing at such a high level that it's a travesty that they're at the record that they are. What are they, 3-8 or something
4-6, 4-6.
Regardless, they're not even at 500. So I think I sent you this, Walter, on Twitter. So just to kind of put this in perspective, this is a tweet from Twitter, so take it at face value. But through the first 11 games, Joe Burrow has 3,028 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. To add to that, let me just say Jamar Chase also has 73. He's basically has the triple crown right now in the league for receiving. 73 receptions, 1,056 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Insane. Players to achieve, going back to Burrow, players to achieve 3,000 plus passing yards, 27 plus touchdowns, and 5 or fewer interceptions for the first 11 games. Tom Brady in 2007 and 2015, his 2 records in those seasons, 16-0 and 13-3. Aaron Rodgers, 2011-2020, his records 15-1, 13-3. Pat Mahomes, 2020, 14-2, he ended that season. And then Drew Brees in 2018, 13-3. This is unheard of how bad the Bengals are with how good of a season Burrow's having. And I just feel so bad for the dude. I don't know what it is. It's not him. It's not Chase.
How is their run game?
Their run game's actually decent. Like when I was watching the Chargers game on Sunday, they have a running back, Chase Brown. He's getting 5 or 6 yards at a clip each run. I think they're pretty good there. And it's not like they don't have guys on defense too. I just think that
they get burned on defense, dude. They get melted on defense.
But they have Trey Hendrickson, who I brought up last week for our Defensive Player of the Year discussion, right? Mm-hmm. So I just feel like it's the coaching. And I was never really sold on Zach Taylor. Like when they made the Super Bowl, I was like,
I mean, how could you be?
Yeah, I think he's a Sean McVay coaching tree guy. So like you're just like, oh my God, Sean McVay, But I feel like he should be gone after the season. That you can't have this record with that amount of talent. Like and now Chase is he's probably looking to go elsewhere because like I don't think he got paid over the offseason and he was playing so good, playing his ass off, and they're still not winning.
Yeah, I said over the weekend, I was like, we need to start a petition to get Joe Burrow out of there. Yeah. We got to get Joe Burrow out of there. Mm-hmm. He doesn't – no one on that offense, maybe a few people, but nobody really on that offense deserves to have the record they do. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said, it comes down – like if you – this is what I mean about when you have a really talented team and you're not winning, like it's so much worse than you just have bad talent and you have like – you clearly know where you need to fill in, but like this is so much more complicated because the coach is going to lose that locker room if he hasn't already.
I feel like he has to. Like there's really no other explanation for why they are the way.
I mean,
where they're at.
I mean, Chase literally pretty much threw the coaches under the bus in the post-game interview in the locker room.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was pretty much of like, I don't know, don't ask me, ask the coaches. I don't call the plays.
Yeah.
And like at this point, it's kind of just like, I mean, I can't even get mad at him.
No.
If he was playing bad, I would be like, okay, maybe just chill out.
Yeah, you contribute a little bit more. Then we'll talk about how you're upset. But like he's literally the best wide receiver in the league.
Yeah. So I don't really know what the next step for the Bengals are. I don't even know if it's like a step back next year again and then they get going, but
no, I feel like a coaching change does something. Like just think about this though. Like if they were to fire Zach Taylor, that may be the best job available because you have Joe Burrow under contract and
you know who I'm gunning for if I'm Cincinnati?
Who?
Vrabel.
That's a good pick. Yeah.
That would immediately
be a good coach, even with piss poor talent.
Yeah.
So just give him the reins there, and he's also an Ohio guy.
He's also a defensive guy.
That too.
They have the offense covered. They need the defense covered now.
Yeah, that'd be a great pick. That'd be a fantastic. I think he's actually with the Browns right now. Like I think he's an assistant coach there.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, he's not like doing an offensive defensive coordinator thing. He's just like an assistant or like maybe a
quality control.
Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah. But, yeah. Sorry, Bengals fans.
Well, no matter what, they don't have it the worst in the league. At least there's some hope with the offense, right?
It's true. Yeah, at least they have some exciting offensive plays to watch, even though they're not winning.
Right. All right. Any other topics before we get to our fun topic of the day?
I just want to talk about the Pats briefly.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Who they play?
They played the Rams.
That's right.
So they lost 28-22. Drake May looked great again. He's even throwing like sidearm passes now. I'm like, oh my God, this guy might just have it, man. And I'm trying to temper my expectations because I did get excited for Mac Jones' rookie season. But one thing that I want to mention, or I guess a few things. So Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp both played in this game. They each had over 100 yards receiving, each had over 6 receptions, and each had at least 1 touchdown. Now, Patriots have pretty much a shutdown corner in Christian Gonzalez, and he was not guarding either of them, which was kind of stupid. What Belichick used exactly, he was guarding literally their third wide receiver who had 2 catches. So, you know,
I don't understand that.
Yeah. So what Belichick used to do when he was around, when they had like Stephon Gilmore, Darrell Revis, even Ty Law, what he would do is he would put those types of corners on the guys or the other team's second receiver, and then double their primary receiver. So pick your poison, put Gonzalez on Nacua or Kupp, and then double the other one, and then that's a good recipe to win, because like that's their offense right there, right? If they don't have that,
we saw that at the beginning of the year when they didn't have them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they do have a decent running game with Kareem Williams, but so that's one thing. The other thing is, I hope that the Patriots front office, in seeing this, they see Nacua, they see Kupp, and they're like, this having a number 1 wide receiver thing, this actually wins games. This is crazy. And they actually like go and try to get someone, whether it's a trade, and stop with the draft. It's not working. Jalen Polk, he's not good. He's they're another second, and they just released their other second-round wide receiver in Tyquan Thornton from a couple of years ago, and now this second-round wide receiver in Jalen Polk, he's buns. So do something. Clearly, it helps win games. And then you I don't want to waste this Drake May thing, because I think the Pats are up there in terms of dropped passes in the league, and I think at the start of the game he was 10 of 13 with 3 dropped passes.
Yeah.
So they if you just get the guy some weapons, like he's gonna do something, Like I hope they see those 2 guys on the Rams side and be like, we got to get someone like that, because that would really open up this whole offense.
They don't have to be like all-stars. They could just be 2 guys that are just reliable.
Just
that will catch the ball
who is it? Like, so one guy that has been mentioned at least since like last offseason was T. Higgins from the Bengals, because he's a free agent this upcoming offseason, right? He's a solid number 2, absolutely solid number 2. Maybe he has potential to be a number 1. I don't know, but even that is better than what they have right now. They have like late round draft picks and undrafted guys who can make some good plays, but they make some bonehead mistakes too. So
how much are they? How many positions are they really hurting in?
So offensive line, wide receiver, probably linebacker. Defensive line is okay. So
they have a lot of cap space, right?
They have the most cap space in the league, with over $100 million for next year. But what kind of happens sometimes, and we saw this with the Pats in 2021, when these teams who spend the most in free agency, they might be good that first year, but then it doesn't really carry over over time.
It depends who you're signing, right? If you're the Rams, you sign guys that are all 30 and above, that's not going to last. But if you can get younger guys that are kind of in bad situations that they're not happy in, and you can pluck them from there, Jamar Chase, just try to get some of those guys.
Yeah, and I guess that's where the Pats had some issues with their last big free agent class. Was their 2 wide receiver signings were Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. So there you go. That's what you know about that. Yeah,
absolutely groundbreaking.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I got on the Pats. Another really close loss. So it's fun to watch when they're at least someone in these games, and if the team or if the other team scores 20 points, I'm not like, oh, there's no chance that they're gonna even come back. They at least made it a fight.
Well, at least you're heading somewhere.
Yeah.
Right now, the Giants got a guy that's not even making $1 million playing quarterback.
Wah, wah, wah. But his mom's making the cutlets.
His mom is making the cutlets.
Yeah. Oh, that's so.
All right. Do you want to make our picks or do our favorite? NFL moment.
Let's do the moment first, and then we'll finish off with the picks.
Okay. Justin, you go first.
Okay. So just for the listener, we're trying to do something like kind of fun and different. And just coming up with some like random thing, like we're gonna like rank different things, or like just give our favorite moment, our favorite thing, like not related to our team, just to kind of, spark conversation, just, I don't know, change things up. So my moment that I thought of, which I thought of plenty, but the one that I just kept going back to was Super Bowl 43.
No way.
Wait, did you? Is this what you're gonna? Okay, hold on.
No way.
Is this what you're gonna pick?
Mine's in Super Bowl 43, so probably.
Okay, all right. Is it James Harrison's 100
Yeah.
yards? Oh my god! Wow, that's crazy.
No way.
Wow. Okay, damn. So, do you want me to go ahead with it, or do you want to take?
Yeah,
it?
just take it away.
I got a backup if you want.
Just take it away.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So this was my second year watching football, and this is when Brady tore his ACL. So like they weren't in the playoffs. So I was just like kind of getting more into like the league and the game and everything. And this is a very underrated Super Bowl. Like thinking about it, they would go back and forth, the Steelers and the Cardinals towards the end. Like Larry Fitzgerald scores a long touchdown. Then
you got the whole Kurt Warner situation too.
Kurt Warner. Then you got Santonio Holmes' amazing touchdown in the back of the end zone. Like it's a very fantastic game that I don't think gets talked about enough. But the one play that I'm talking about, James Harrison, he's at least top 5 favorite players of all time that weren't on the Patriots for me. Excuse me. I think it's the end of the second quarter, and the Cardinals are in the red zone. James Harrison, who is this big, beefy,
old school linebacker,
and he intercepts it right at the goal line. And when you see the interceptions, like, oh, they made a goal line stand, like, cool, nice, all right. And he starts running, and you're like, oh, he's going to try to return it. That's cool, all right. Gets to like the 30 or 40, you're like, oh, all right, he's
bodies are
flying
everywhere,
and he's staying in bounds, and then he keeps going, and he keeps going, and he keeps going. You're like, yo, he might actually return this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then he scores, and it was the most amazing.
It was
play
so electric
to watch. Oh my god, it was so cool. I absolutely loved it. I love that guy. He did end up playing on the Patriots later on, like just for like half a season, and it was so cool to watch. It was, oh my god, I can't even.
Just for like an old school linebacker, like the big brawly type guys, not like nowadays where they're like smaller and quicker and faster.
Yeah,
like just how massive of a human being he is to take it. I don't even think it was at the goal line. I think, wasn't it like recorded at like 105
it was 100 yards
or something like that?
It was at least 100 yards. I don't know for certain, but
I'd have to look that up. But that's a mega long play.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember,
defensive lineman too to run.
If I remember too, he had a cut across the field as well.
Yeah,
at the beginning of it.
Yep.
So yeah, that was immediately. So there's actually the only other moment I was really thinking about was that time Troy Polamalu jumped over the offensive line.
Ooh, that's
and
a good
made
one.
that tackle.
Yeah.
That was another one of mine.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Steelers have most of my all-time favorite plays and moments that happen.
Yeah.
I could not think of any other team. I was trying to do it like team by team.
Yeah.
I could not think of one that I liked better than that.
The one other one that I thought of immediately was the Minneapolis Miracle with Stephon Diggs against the Saints, where he catches it on the sidelines and he goes in. That's a great call by Joe Buck, where he's like, Diggs, sideline, touchdown. And then like the whole crowd goes. And then I think that was before they
launches his helmet.
Yeah. That was before they made the rule that like, oh, if you score like a last minute touchdown to win, you don't have to kick the extra point. And they still had to kick the extra point. So before that, like they zoom out, and I think it's Case Keenum. He's doing like the skull chant.
Yeah,
the whole crowd, and I was just like,
yeah, that was nuts.
Chills. That was amazing. Oh,
yeah, that was nuts.
That was another one I thought of too.
Nick, you got any favorite moments?
Sure. I mean, I don't really watch football to get these references, to be honest, but I'm going to go with the one that kind of got me into it just because, look, one of the interesting parts about sports for me is you got to have villains in sports. I feel like villains are compelling. There's got to be teams you hate. You can't just have your favorite team. You got to hate watch these teams.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, 27-3 is what I was thinking of in the Super Bowl.
Oh,
yeah.
23. Okay. All right. Go Pats. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Because here I am watching that, and I'm pretty new to football. I remember watching it with my mom. Actually, I was a lot younger, and it was like, look, we're preying on the Patriots' downfall here. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. And you watch the rest of that game unfold, and it's like, damn, this sucks, but that was also pretty enjoyable. In a way that was like, it's entertaining, and you have endless memes for all of eternity.
Oh, yes, you do.
It was like the last stamp that the Patriots had to do. Like they already done it all at that point, and they just needed one more like stamp of approval of like being an all-time franchise or being a what do they call it, dynasty or whatever.
Yeah.
Dynasty of just like I honestly I feel like it was on purpose. Let's go down a few scores and then make them believe, and then just crush their hopes and dreams.
It's just the Falcons.
Yeah,
right. You dynasty, but dynasty 2.0. Okay, because you got the first dynasty with the 3 Super Bowls, then you got the second one with 3 Super Bowls. So let's get that right. But yeah, that if I wasn't a Patriots fan, I'd probably pick that too. It's oh my god, that game. I think it took a few years off of my life, but
as most of those games do.
In watching it, like the first half, I was just like, oh my god, what the fuck, and then like
this is it. It's over.
I'm like, I forgot where I was, but I wasn't watching the screen like as the second half unfolded, but I was just kind of like, just have one eye here, just to see this.
You have to
just to see what happens, and then things start to roll. Dante Hightower gets a sack. Edelman makes that crazy catch. It just things start to kind of roll, and then I was locked in. What a time! What a time to be alive! It's great.
All right. Well, honestly, those are all great picks.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Nick to go there.
I'm happy you did though, Nick.
Don't expect it again. I'm never rooting for Boston.
All right, I'll take one. I'll take what I can get. That's fine.
Don't expect it too much. All right. Already week 12 of the NFL. Good grief.
Yeah.
We are starting, ironically, with the Steelers at Browns.
Did you count last week? Because I just want to know if I'm beating you guys. Are we doing that at the end?
I didn't count them, but I do have what we picked here. We can go over it real quick if you want to know.
I already know what I got last week because I keep track myself. I was 11-3.
You were 11-3. Yeah, I didn't really keep track. I didn't really care to. I mean, we pretty much all picked the same thing, anyways. Outside of a few games, like I picked the Browns. Justin, you picked the Jets.
Rip.
We picked the Chiefs. They finally lost.
Yay! We didn't talk about that.
I picked the Bengals. But other than that, we all pretty much picked the same.
Okay.
Yeah, we all picked the 49ers. They obviously lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it this week.
Yep, I gotta get back to where it was. There we go. All right. Pittsburgh at Cleveland.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Steelers, they've got this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next is Bucks at Giants.
I know we're praising the cutlets, but I still think Baker's gonna bake those cutlets to a crisp. That was iffy. I'm sorry, guys. I tried. I'm going Tampa.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I'm going Giants.
All right, changing the juju.
Not even that. It's just kind of like one of those things where it's like things have been so down and so bad. And obviously the people in the locker room are obviously like, why the fuck did this dude get paid $160 million fucking dollars?
Mhm.
I just feel like the excitement alone is going to get him enough juice for one game, and then he'll just right back down to reality,
Yeah.
kind of.
Kind of like the new coach theory, where like
Yeah.
he fires the coach. Yeah, I can see it. Okay.
Chiefs at Panthers.
Chiefs. I will not be paying attention to this game at all.
No,
It's gonna
absolutely
be a
not.
blowout.
This is a wipeout. Yeah.
Yeah. Cowboys at Commanders.
Well, is that the Commanders?
Yeah.
Now, do the Commanders have a
because the Commanders are home, the Cowboys have a chance. Because if they were home, it'd be
right. So the Commanders don't have a roof that's going to be falling apart like AT&T Stadium, like when they were trying.
Nick, did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that, and I also heard that Jake Paul won a fight or won a event in the Cowboys arena before they have in 2024.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Yeah, let's not. I don't know if we want to call that a fight. But
Yeah,
he
like
won a sporting. I
event.
like it. It won a sporting event. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, Commanders. This might as well move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, figured. Patriots at Dolphins.
I'm gonna go the Dolphins because the Patriots. I don't even know the last time they won in Miami. It's like a freaking horror house for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go Dolphins as well. Then I'll trust your instinct on that.
I am too, but I don't feel great about it.
Don't give me hope. Come on.
I mean, come on, man. I'm just saying, I really don't feel great about that pick.
What? My call is running back the wrong name because he's too concussed, but it's fine. He can still throw. He can still throw a straight pass.
Completely calls the wrong play. All right, Titans at Texans.
Texans.
Yeah, Texans.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are all across the board there again. Lions at Colts.
Lions.
Yeah, Lions.
Yeah. Vikings at Bears.
Vikings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty easy so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is not a fantastic week.
I think the like primetime games are a little bit better though. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Broncos at Raiders.
Broncos. I am for one shocked at how well Bo Nix is doing. I mean, you know, it pays to be a 50-year-old rookie like he is, but
it also pays to have Sean Payton as your fucking coach.
Yeah, but seriously though, like he is really playing quite well. He might because I know we talked about like offensive rookie of the year, Jane Daniels was kind of leading the pack, but like if you look at Bo Nix's stats, like he's kind of creeping in there.
He's there.
Yeah.
Are we all going Broncos?
Yes.
Yep. All right. Here's where it starts to get a little interesting. 49ers at Packers.
I'm going to say Green Bay. I think the 49ers are just having a year from hell, and it's just like it's almost it's not a wrap for them because they're pretty much like right in the middle of the pack with their division, but it's not looking good for them.
Yeah, they don't really look formidable this year like they have in the past, so I'm also going to go with Green Bay.
Cardinals at Seahawks.
I had a tough time picking this one. I'm just going to go Seahawks just because they're home. And I know Arizona's like technically leading the division, but I'm just like, it doesn't seem right. I don't know.
I mean, is anybody really leading that division? They should all be in fourth place. It's just say fourth place. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm going to say Cardinals.
I am also going Cardinals.
Okay.
I've kind of been on a FU to the Seahawks this year. Kind of trained, so I'm going to just continue that.
Any particular reason why? Why did they
I don't
hurt
know,
you in
man.
any way?
I think it's just Geno Smith. I never understood, like, he had one good season with the Seahawks, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, comeback player of the year, this, that, the other thing. He's like, he revitalized his career. He had one motherfucking good year. He's a backup quarterback that just so happens there's not enough quarterbacks in the league where he's a backup.
You know who else also had one good year?
Who?
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay,
there you
yeah.
fucking go.
Just backing up your point, yeah.
Yeah, it's literally fucking go. Eagles at Rams.
I feel like this is a good game.
Do you?
I do. I like watching the Rams. Like Stafford still can sling it, man. And
I'm not saying he can't.
No, I know, but like with Nakua and Cup, like they're scary still. The Rams don't have a home field advantage, though. That has been somewhat proven. So
They actually have a home field negative.
yeah, because there's going to be thousands of Eagles fans there. I am going to go Rams.
Okay. Nick?
I think I agree, though. I think I am going to go Rams.
I'm going Eagles in a blowout.
Blowout.
Wow, okay.
Hey, all right.
Eagles
all
in
right.
a blowout.
All right.
And then we wrap up with another kind of surprising team, to be honest.
Yeah.
Ravens at Chargers.
I despise Jim Harbaugh, as has been detailed on this podcast several times. But goddamn, if he's not a good coach, even the cheating aside, forget about the cheating in Michigan. But everywhere he goes, he just fucking wins. Even with this like shit talent team in the Chargers. Herbert, yes, they have Herbert, but like what wide receivers do they have? Bosa's
No
in and out of the lineup.
receivers.
Is Khalil Mack even still a thing? Like, and they're still
He had a headset on last week, just coaching.
Jesus. And then like the corpse of J.K. Dobbins, he just resurrected it after like what?
Bro,
2
did
or
you
3?
see the list of injuries?
I know, and he's still freaking balling out.
I saw it on Twitter. I was like, this has got to be fake, and
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Nope,
there was just
not.
like 7 like serious injuries, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, I don't know how this is
Still
even
chugging.
remotely possible.
That's my boy. Go Bucks. Love J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, I feel like this is a bounce back game for Baltimore. This is a hardball bowl. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens.
Yeah, I'm
Nick?
thinking Ravens too. Yeah.
I'm also going Ravens. I'm going to say this. If the Ravens drop this game, I'm going to start being a little concerned.
I am too. Yes, absolutely.
Because dropping 2 games in a row to kind of...
To conference opponents too. They lost to
Yeah.
the Steelers in their division. But
Yeah.
now we're talking about conference standings if you don't
Right.
win the division, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And that's all we got for the NFL.
Mhm.
And now let's move on to some college. I will say I don't have a fuck ton of college this week because I missed a lot of it.
Mhm.
So did you, Justin.
I did. At least I got to watch Ohio State play football in an over 100-year-old baseball field. So
Yeah, that's
that was
right.
cool. Yep. And I hope that my sarcasm can be recognized. It was kind of stupid at points. Like at one point, Ohio State is driving towards like the right side of like the broadcast, and there's a play in like the bottom right corner, and it was a touchdown. But I didn't know that because a bunch of people stood up and completely blocked the camera where the play was. And I'm just like, what the hell are we doing?
Keep football out of baseball stadiums. It needs to stay out. It needs to stay out.
Yeah, and then at the same time, like it wasn't even like that full in terms of attendance, and it was a sea of red.
Yeah.
For Ohio State, which Buckeyes travel. That's cool, but yeah, it's kind of
dumb.
Yeah.
All right. Really quick before we get into like the meat and potatoes of like the games we actually want to talk about, there are some games I just want to highlight because there were some pretty big upsets this week. BYU lost to Kansas, so they're going to be dropping pretty hard in the standings. Actually didn't get a chance to look at the standings yet. Let's see. Washington State lost to New Mexico, so they'll be dropping pretty heavy. Louisville lost to Stanford. And this is one that we're probably going to talk a little bit about. LSU lost to Florida.
Is that a wrap on the Tigers?
Well, for this year, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a note of just like Brian Kelly. It's only his third year. I'm gonna say right now, if next year goes the same way, he's out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
can see
think
it.
4, maybe 5 years is a good length to kind of get to know what you're gonna get.
Should be. Yeah.
Right? Because then eventually, because even with that, you're getting some of your recruits in there and whatnot. So at some point, you got to start seeing improvement, and they're just not improving. They always lose the games that, those close big time matchups they lose. Now they're losing games to like Florida, which they're not bottom of the pack in the SEC. So yeah, I think they're cooked. I really don't have much to say about them, to be honest. It's just, I think next year they got to get the playoffs. They got to get to the playoffs, and they got to get a win in the playoffs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to win the whole thing, but they need to get there because, I mean, in 2019 they win the national championship with one of the best teams ever. The next year they fire their coach.
Yeah, that didn't make much sense to me. I'm not gonna lie.
No. Like, they had a down 2020 year. They also lost everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They lost their Burrow. They lost their receivers. They lost defensive people. They lost their quarterbacks coach.
It wasn't it also the COVID year too, like where they didn't play like the full season. So what the hell?
I mean, it's just a horrible rushed firing. And I think it's coming back to bite him now because Brian Kelly he can sit there and slam tables all he wants, but at the end of the day, it's his job to make sure the guys are ready. Yeah. To me, they didn't look ready against Florida, so
nope. Yeah, it's kind of business as usual for LSU. This is just kind of what they do.
Yeah,
they come into the season like, oh, this might be a year where they kind of get back into form, and then they end up with like 3 or 4 losses.
Right.
It's them. Notre Dame we've talked about. There's just some teams where you just know what to expect with them, despite the preseason projections, and it typically kind of bears out the way you think it will.
Yeah. The other game I wanted to talk about quick is Clemson and Pitt. Clemson survives I don't even know what to call the game. It was probably one of the most sloppy performances I've ever seen from a team.
Yep, from Pitt. Oh,
yeah. God, penalties out of the ass. They didn't have their starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. They just all right. Let's just talk about the end of the game, right? So there's a point where it's 17-17. Pitt is on defense, right? Their quarterback. Well, no, their defensive end hits Clemson's quarterback. It's called roughing, which even the announcers are like, this is not roughing the passer. It was like throw, and then the guy just kind of like ran into him and didn't even fall on him. And they called it roughing the passer. So everybody went nuts. They even had one of the announcers going at, the head official guy that comes on and is like trying to describe what's going on.
Yeah.
He was even like kind of going at him of like, I don't get this. Why? Like, why? You're trying to defend the refs, but we all know that's a garbage call.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Pitt ends up getting off the field, and then the Pitt is on offense, and their quarterback's head gets ripped off by a guy, right? So he's moving up in the pocket. His helmet is grabbed, almost ripped off. No flag. So after that whole thing, this guy's head almost gets taken off, and there's no flag. Now there's a Narduzzi, Pitt's coach, is going ape shit on the sideline. The announcers are screaming like, "What the fuck is this?" And after about 5 minutes, they decide to throw the flag.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you this: were there any water bottles thrown onto the field?
No water bottles.
Wow. All right.
No water bottles.
We're getting back to normalcy.
Yeah, not really normalcy, because I've never seen so many instances where the refs don't or do call something. There's an argument for it, and then they change I've never seen it so much.
Yeah.
But it happened, and I'm not kidding, it was probably like 5 minutes of just Narduzzi arguing the call, and then it went their way, and then Sweeney's going nuts because it just got reversed, and it was just a whole mess. But Pitt goes down, they kick a field goal on a horribly managed drive. They kick a field goal to go up by 3. In that drive, they had like 20,000 false starts, horrible clock management on it, and then they give the ball back to Clemson with like under 2 minutes left or something like that. And Clemson's quarterback steps back and he just runs 80 yards all the way down the field. Clemson only had 8 rushing yards the entire game up to that point. And he just got loose and scored, and then that was kind of it for Pitt. I don't think Clemson deserves to move up after this win.
Nope. Pitt gave them the game. Like I didn't watch.
Pitt was giving them the game, but they also were doing it with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, but like I didn't watch the end part you were talking about. But there's a series earlier in the game when they're at the goal line. It's like 1st and goal. They have to call a timeout because they're not settled. They're not ready. They come out of a timeout. And then I forgot if it was like a false start or like illegal formation or something. And it was just the most disorganized thing I've ever seen in my life. It was just insane. And they eventually just got a field goal. But like, if they just like executed just practice level stuff, like it wasn't like they were trying to do anything crazy. They could have easily won this game. It's just disgusting to watch, honestly. I was just like, oh my God, I get it's with backup quarterback, but like, holy crap, dude.
It wasn't even the quarterback that was fucking up. It was everybody around.
I know, yeah.
Anyways, that I digress from that game.
Real quick, well, I did pull up the playoff rankings that they just released today. So one thing that I'm a little confused about, and I don't know if you would have any insight to this. So Boise State is ranked at 12, but it said that the projected number 4 seed. So I thought
it's got it. I know what you're going to say. I think it's got to do something with the Big 12.
Yeah, I thought it was just like the Power 4 conferences, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, and SEC.
Mm-hmm.
They would get those 4 top spots.
Yes, but it's funny. I was watching a video. I wish I watched it. I watched the video last week, and I wish I watched it this week so I remember exactly what the thing was. But I think it's something with the Big 12. If the committee doesn't like deem any of their teams worthy, a Group of 5 school can take that 4th spot.
Okay, because like what I had thought maybe too, just looking at this, like maybe they're just doing like, okay, let's see. Well, all right, 1 to 25, and then wherever in that 1 to 25, whatever the first 4 conference champions are, like say it's just for fun, Ohio State number 1, they're Big 10 champions. Then Alabama's at we'll go just Texas. Texas is number 3. Mm-hmm. They're going to be number 2. And then you go further down, Miami's at number 8. They're going to be number 3. And then in this, the next one would be Boise State at number 12. They're the conference champion. Mm-hmm. So then they'll be number 4 because like the next Big 12 team, at least on this list, is BYU at 14.
That's why I think
so that must be what it is.
Because the Big 12 had a nightmare scenario, that leaves room for the Group of 5 school to take the 4th spot.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, it's a little bit nuts and all over the place, but I think a few years in we'll get the hang of it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, now the final kind of thing from last week I want to talk about, and it was kind of the main focus point for us at least, was Oregon. Mm-hmm. They barely escaped Wisconsin. I have here like they started the season with only a 10-point win against Idaho. and they kind of just been getting away with games. And I just note it here. And I know it's not necessarily for this year because the teams I'm gonna mention do have some losses, right? But I don't know why in the past, like if teams that were supposed to be blowing teams out, they would get shit on. So like Bama, Nick Saban constantly be like, "You don't understand how hard it is to win. Like at least we got the win. Who cares what the fucking score was?" George has gotten hit with it in the past, right? Of just like, oh, they should have won by 60. Why is Oregon not getting that same treatment?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what it is. They're still one of the only undefeated teams left. But you're right. They should be still getting that treatment too, because I'm trying to find what you had sent to me about like their margin of victory against some of these teams. But
Yeah.
they have a close game against Ohio State. Right. That's a good win. Fine. Close game against Boise State, which ends up being a good win too, because Boise State is a very good team. But like you said, only a 10-point win against Idaho. Let's see who else. They barely beat Wisconsin. Let's say too, some of these games, like the margin of victory might be a little bit bigger, but they're really tight for a good amount of it. Though it's not like they're blowing the doors off of some of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. I think that there's just a bias a little bit for Oregon this year.
I don't know why. It's not even like they have the. It's not like they have the championship like history of deserving that thing. Like if they were giving that to Alabama or Ohio State or someone like that, I'd be like, okay, I could see that. That's relatively fair.
Pedigree. Yeah,
because they have the pedigree of it. But like Oregon has no pedigree. They have none.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that just goes over to Dylan Gabriel too. Like I think I talked about this last week. He has at least top 5 Heisman odds. Meanwhile, Will Howard basically has better stats. Mm-hmm. He has more touchdowns, slightly less yards, less interceptions, better QBR, and he might even have better rushing stats. I don't have them up right now, and yet Will Howard's not even mentioned with the Heisman. So
yeah.
It's
I don't know.
It's all it's like it's such a narrative thing sometimes, and I don't get it. But I don't want to. So sometimes with these teams, we say, oh, why didn't they blow this team out? Why didn't they blow that team out? But sometimes I feel like the closer wins are also a positive too, right? So there's plenty of times in the past where like Ohio State has, and I'm only just speaking about them because I watch them the most consistently, but Ohio State has blown the doors off of teams. They keep blowing teams out. And then when they're in a close game, it's like, ooh, they really haven't been in this spot before. How are they going to respond to it? Right. And that's when you kind of know like who your guys are, right? When the chips are down and you have to make a comeback win or make a stand to preserve a lead. And granted, Oregon has done that, right? So it's kind of like what will make you the most happy? Like what's the perfect amount of blowout wins versus like close wins? It's partially against like who the opponents are too, but at least they have those like kind of crunch time wins too, even if it's against like a lesser opponent too,
I agree. I mean, I'm not saying the close wins are a bad thing. I'm just saying I've seen in the past teams get, blasted for it, and yet everyone's talking about like Oregon's the best team in the history of college football.
Yeah. They're just, I think they're what it might be too is they are the last undefeated team in.
But even if you rewind the season way back, like if they're just like 4-0 or something like that, people were already talking like they were 10-0.
Yeah, you're right.
So I don't really. Yeah, I don't get it.
I think it might just be that they're the last undefeated team in a Power 4 conference,
and I'm telling you,
they just get that treatment.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I strongly feel the slip up is coming,
and I hope you're right.
And
I hope it's in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah,
and their opponent is Ohio State. We'll see if that ends up happening.
And if it's not there, it'll be in the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna win.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that.
Okay. Before we move on from college football, we both have very nightmarish weekends.
Yeah.
Right? Very stressful. I'm already stressed out.
Mhm.
Ohio State plays Indiana.
At home. Yep.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. I'm looking at Indiana's schedule. They really haven't played too many people. Ohio State is a 13-point favorite right now, I believe. So, yeah, for a top 5 matchup, that's kind of a big
That's
margin.
fucking wild.
Yeah. There was also, and I've forgotten about this, one of CJ Stroud's years, they had a match. I think it was just a top 10 matchup. I think Ohio State was 2 and Michigan State was 9. All right. And, big time matchup, playoff implications. At halftime, it was 49-0 Ohio State. Okay. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. The potential's there. 49-0. That's insane. That's crazy. That's hard to do. But I feel confident, right? I'm going to knock on wood though. But they're still rounding into form. Will Howard is playing at a much higher level. He's kind of minimized the mistakes. He was really driving the ball down the field last week. The running game is getting going. Judkins is a freaking monster. And then the defense is stepping up and making plays. So I feel good. We'll see what happens. But I think there's been some bulletin board material from Indiana's coach who said Ohio State sucks. So
that dude's got some fucking balls.
He's got some balls on him. Granted, like he's 10-0 in his first year with the team, so props to him. But
I can dig like maybe taking an L, like knowing you could possibly take an L on the chin, but just gonna go down with a fight.
Yeah,
just not even caring. I respect the hell out of that.
I do too. I do absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And here's another thing too. I forgot if I talked about this last week. Ohio State will finish with, I think, 6 straight noon games. That's kind of crazy.
I actually wrote that down.
I
wrote that down to talk about it because they're never a night game.
No, and this has been a big topic of conversation for Ohio State fans. It's just like, I don't know if it's like Fox and like Big Noon Kickoff where they find like, oh yeah, we get our like most viewers for like the noon game, and people are watching the ESPN late night game, but you got the Gus Johnson says the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes, right? If they're that famous, you can probably get a pretty good amount of viewers if
they are that famous. Like
exactly.
they are an elite.
And
program.
any other like not any other, but most other Big Ten teams, even though Michigan's not having a good season, they can draw some viewers. Yeah,
absolutely.
Oregon's on the West Coast, so they should be playing at night mainly, but like, it's kind of crazy how many consecutive, and it's not even like Ohio State has like a bad like environment for the games too. It's not like they don't have fans coming in. They pack that freaking stadium,
and they got the flashing lights like everybody else does.
Yeah,
to show
exactly,
it off.
right. So it's not like it's a oh, this won't be cool to see on TV type of environment. It's kind of a weird thing, and it's been a topic of conversation. But it's a little bit of an inconvenience for me because like I'm doing stuff during the day sometimes, but we roll with the punches.
Yeah, see, everything gets set aside. If it's noon, everything's gonna get set aside.
I know. All right, how about your game?
Yeah, Army plays Notre Dame. I'm stressed out a little bit. Army released their Army Navy uniforms for this year, right? And it's for the 101st Airborne Division. And on the back of their helmets, they have the motto of the 101st Airborne Division. You know what that is? That saying is?
What is it?
It's rendezvous with destiny.
I like that. That's cool.
And I got I saw the back of the helmet and I was like, why is that so perfect for this year?
Yeah.
Why is that so fucking perfect for this year?
That's good.
And I'm just like, and I before the release, I was thinking about the game and I'm like, Army doesn't play Notre Dame good historically. Usually ends in a blowout. I don't know why they can play Michigan and Oklahoma, but they can't play Notre Dame. I don't fucking know. I think this year's a little bit different.
Definitely.
I don't.
He has another week to rest that infected foot or whatever too. So,
yeah, and they're kind of coming off of a win that was kind of just like ooh, got to clean some stuff up just to get the mistakes out in that game and not necessarily this game.
Yeah.
To me, it's nothing to do with stats. I just think it's got to be one of the grittiest performances Army's ever put on.
Yeah. If they can possess the ball for 14 minutes like they did in their last game for a quarter, that's a pretty good sign, right?
For one drive, that'd be lovely.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit. I say I'm nervous, but I don't know that rendezvous with Destiny quote has just got me like, nah, fuck it, this is it. This is it.
Got this. Yeah.
This is it.
I think you can be cautiously optimistic with it. It's like you said with the Navy Notre Dame game. Like if Navy just didn't like turn the ball over 6 times, they easily could have been in that game. So as long as Army plays, just mistake-free football, like they have a chance.
They have the Army has the closest thing to them on tape. Because Navy played Notre Dame, so Army's got that tape of kind of like, all right, Navy did this A, B, and C. What can we do? Maybe instead of A, B, and C, we do, D. And we just go this route. Yeah. Maybe we just go a different route. So cautiously optimistic is a good word.
And they're playing in a baseball stadium too. They're playing at Yankee Stadium. So
yeah. Fuck this. I fucking hate Yankee Stadium, dude. I hate it. But yeah, I'm not gonna go into stats or anything like that. Just a fucking gritty fucking performance is what we need.
Yeah, I like that. Speaking of the Army Navy jersey or uniform release, I saw that Navy posted like, "Oh, we're gonna release our uniform second because we like to sing second." Ha 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 ha. Is that the first time they've done that? Because that's corny as hell.
That exact saying, because usually it is Navy that releases first for whatever reason. They're always fucking excited to release them for some reason, I mean, the submarines.
I'm biased because, I guess Army's my second favorite team. Considering you're a fanatic, but our Navy's uniforms they're not really that good. They have the stupid like airbrushed helmets.
Bro,
with the
airbrushed submarines last year looked like dildos on their helmets.
yeah, it's not good. It's really not like. And armies are always much better.
Yeah, and it's also like, and I'm gonna say it like obviously I'm biased, but I'm genuinely unbiased here. Like Army every year they like honor a division in the Army that helped win a massive war like World War II, World War I. They did Task Force X, which was
X-Force?
one of the more recent wars or whatever. So it's always honoring the people of that division, right? Remembering what they did. Navy one year, I think it was 2020, they had marbling helmets to fucking represent a building on their campus. And then another year they did uniforms for their 2 Heisman winners. Right? And then another year they fucking did the GOAT. And it's just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Yeah. You guys have all these units and divisions in the Navy you could be honoring. And instead, let's put the fucking marbling on the fucking helmets for the dumb building.
They do too much. Like they Army puts actual genuine thought.
Yeah.
Well thought out like uniforms like every time. And Navy's just like, okay, so we're gonna have like this amount of stars, and then we're gonna have submarines that look like dildos, but then there's also gonna be the water, and you can see the ribbons in the water. Like, no, make it simple and straightforward. Like Army's helmets with just like the matte black with like the one logo, and then I saw that it's like based on specific logos or emblems that are on the sides of the like helmets of the soldiers that fought in Bastogne. Like that's sick. Just minimalist, plain and simple.
And it's not even like a big logo. It's just minuscule thing. And
it gets the point across. That's it.
Yeah. I agree. Anyways, moving on. Nick, hop back in this conversation because we got some hockey news. We got some hockey shit going on.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Bruins fire Jim Montgomery. We'll start with that. Justin,
Yeah.
are you stressed out?
I don't even know how to feel. Like, honestly, I feel like
Let's get Nick's perspective from because he watches hockey the most. So
Yeah.
Nick, did you kind of see this coming, or is this kind of like a blindsided thing?
I think the writing was kind of on the wall for the big reason of Montgomery's contract was up this year, so he was a lame duck coach, and they usually don't get long leashes in these situations. What's surprising is he had a .713 record or winning percentage as a coach with the Bruins.
Mhm.
So the coach before him, Bruce Cassidy, also had a very good winning percentage. It was like .639, something like that. And to that extent, I think it's a little cutthroat. I think it makes sense. The team needs to be rejuvenated right now. And I mean, they still got good players.
How is their season going? I haven't really checked.
they're like slightly above 500, I think, or even at 500. But they have so many games that they are blown the fuck out.
No.
Yep. And the goaltending hasn't caught up for them yet the way they want it to.
After all that in the offseason, or just before the season, the whole goalie thing.
Yeah. All right. So, it is a weird situation. Nick mentioned Jim Montgomery's winning percentage. That's mainly because his first season, they had the best regular season ever, period, for points and wins. So that's a big help. And obviously they flounder in the first round of the playoffs to the Panthers. Last season, they did pretty good. They made the playoffs, didn't really do too much. And then this season, it's just been an abysmal start. So, yeah, he might be a scapegoat kind of thing, but I think it's early enough in the season that maybe a coaching change can kind of rejuvenate things because they have players. They got really talented guys.
Nick, is it common to for teams to fire the coaches this early on?
It's pretty common in the NHL, unfortunately, in my opinion. The longest tenured coaches we have right now are Mike Sullivan in Pittsburgh, Jared Bednar in Colorado, and John Cooper in Tampa Bay. And they're the only coaches in the NHL that have been with their teams beyond 5 years.
That is crazy.
The turnover is really high, and a lot of it happens this time of year where teams that are supposed to be good and they're not being good, we'll fire the coach to try and jumpstart it. Edmonton's done it several times. Minnesota did it a few years ago. Ottawa did it last year. Almost every team will try it.
Yeah. So this is got to be across all sports now. Of just, I always have this opinion on the matter. Teams just get rid of coaches too quick, in my opinion. They don't let anybody get settled or try to work out a few different things. When you're constantly rotating coaches, you're always restarting.
Yeah,
I agree.
And it just keeps you at the same spot all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so about the winning percentage thing and all that. So I don't know who the other two guys are, but I saw something where in May of 2023, Jim Montgomery and then two other guys were nominated for the Coach of the Year award.
Mm-hmm.
All three of them have been fired since then. And that was just one full season ago. So even the best coaches in the league one year, they don't last very long. Right? So at least from a Bruins perspective, I feel like we shouldn't be looking at the coach anymore. We got to look at the GM. Don Sweeney really hasn't done much in his time there. They've made
except almost cause a big fight with the fucking goalie.
Exactly right. The transactions he's made haven't really helped the team too much. He really hasn't done a ton, and then we're just going to keep firing coaches. So
I feel like everyone forgets about GMs. Everyone's just okay, fire the coach, fire the coach, fire the coach.
Let's get back.
At
to
what point do you look at the GM?
Well, the Jets just looked at the GM and they fired Joe Douglas. I think either today or yesterday. But let's look at the quarterback on that one. Anyway, back to NHL. So at least with the Bruins, they had Bruce Cassidy for a while. I'm pretty sure in his first season they made the cup. They made the cup final, right?
Yeah.
A couple years later, then they fire him. He immediately goes to Vegas, wins a cup there. So it's like, great. Why didn't we keep him? Clearly he knows what the hell he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that same season, Jim Montgomery, he has the record and everything for most points, wins, whatever. And then in less than 2 years, he's gone.
Right.
So I feel like it really shouldn't be on the coach. And granted, maybe the locker room vibes just aren't good. I think I did see him arguing with Marchand on the bench. So maybe there's something there. But I think at some point, the ownership of the Bruins, they got to look at Don Sweeney and be like, we got to really assess this, because a lot of his transactions just haven't really worked out. And it's not like there's some just startup franchise like the Kraken, or just some like bottom level franchise that really doesn't do too much. They're the Boston
Ducks.
Bruins. They're the Ducks. Yeah, I couldn't even think of one. The Ducks. They're an original six team that should be in playoff contention and towards the top of the league most years. You know, so which they pretty much are for the most part, but like they just have not been able.
Well, something's
to get
missing. Something's missing.
It is. I agree.
Me and Nick, when Nick was up, were watching the Ducks play another bad team, and
Pittsburgh.
Was it Pittsburgh?
It was Pittsburgh.
It was such a bad game.
Yeah, no, it was a mess, because Pittsburgh's bad this year. They have not been good.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fucking shit show that was, with those fucking orange uniforms too. Oh my gosh.
I do like the Mighty Duck though. I think that's sick.
No, the logo,
yeah,
100% awesome.
Yeah,
the all orange, not okay.
It's a look for sure.
All right, and then my next topic was Ovechkin takes the goal lead, but gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does in Utah.
That damn.
I didn't see it. Did anyone see the hit or what he might have hurt?
Yeah, Utah forward Jack McBain came onto Ovi's side and hit him awkwardly in the leg, so his knee turned inwards a little bit. So if you have his knee, kind of like not good, you know. So he came out and started skating a little bit during some of the breaks to test the leg, but you could see him looking strained, not feeling too good, and eventually he goes back down the tunnel for good. Another saying he's week to week. So I really wonder how he's going to respond coming back from that, because he's 39. He's not a spring chicken, and he is an excellent goal scorer. He's having a fantastic season.
Tell him to get Aaron Rodgers, doctor.
Yeah, but last year we saw Ovechkin slow down a little bit. He's returned to form so far this year, and I'm curious, will he continue that form or will he go back to last season?
With his injury report, I'm assuming it said lower body injury and they gave him nothing else on it. Yep. Figured. So that could be week to week. That could be the rest of the season. Who the hell knows? We'll find out if he's on the ice at all.
That's brutal to get the lead and then fucking get hurt.
You know. Let me ask you this, Nick. With Ovechkin and the Capitals, I don't really know where they are in the standings or anything, but would you say it's like common,
they're fucking good,
or like expected for them to like hold him out a little bit longer, just so that he can last further into the season, not rush him back because they don't quite need him yet? Or is it more just like, yeah, when you're ready, hop back out there?
I think in their situation, yeah, it's the latter. I think they can wait a little bit, like whenever he's ready. They're 13-4-1 right now, which is good for first place in the Metro. They're smoking teams.
Wow. That's
no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing it.
And they haven't really been forcing Ovechkin either. It's been more of like a team kind of effort. So
total team effort. They're also getting scoring from their defense. So
I agree. If there's any year to hold them out, like this is the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I hate to say this, but they're poised to go on a run in the playoffs right now. If they keep it up, they're probably going to add at the deadline. My only question mark for them is goaltending, if it's sustainable, but
who's their tender?
They have Charlie Lindgren, who's the brother of Rangers defenseman Ryan Lindgren.
Oh, didn't know that. Last Caps goalie I knew was Braden Holtby, right?
Holtbeast, yeah.
Here's the part of the podcast where I impress Nick with some NHL knowledge that I have.
Yeah, shoot. But No, yeah, I hope he made that save in the 2018 finals. Do you remember that? Or with the stick? Yeah, he lunged off the side there.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, but yeah. The Caps missing Ovechkin, I don't think it's going to slow them down.
No, I think they show too much. I think they're going to be just fine. I was going to get into a big rant with the NHL and their games and blacking them out, but I'm pretty calm right now, and I'm not going to do that to myself.
Yeah, it's too late for that. Let's
I don't think you understand how fucking pissed off I was that night, but I'm going to digress right now. Nick, is there anything else going on in the NHL?
There is something that's kind of suspicious, and it's actually an injury with Austin Matthews. They're being very cryptic, like Justin mentioned. They're always cryptic, but this one is extra weird because Coach Berube in Toronto told the media, he's week to week, but he could play this Thursday. Meanwhile, Austin Matthews is going to Germany to see a special doctor and get his condition looked at.
That's never a good sign. If someone's going abroad for a second opinion, that's never. I think McCaffrey did that shit.
How are you week to week, but you need to go to another fucking country?
That's no good.
That makes no sense.
What makes even less sense is the coach saying, "Well, he might play Thursday." Like, okay, let's see that.
You gonna get a red eye back from Germany to make it there? Like, what the fuck,
bro? That is wild. Yeah, so he's fucking cooked.
Yeah, something's up with that, but. The Leafs are really weird where if you have their core four, right, they that's what they call them. It's Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, and Marner. And, Justin's rolling his eyes because they always get creamed by the Bruins in the playoffs.
Fuck the Leafs. Hell yeah, dude.
That's the thing with them, though. If they have all four present, especially in the playoffs, they suck. They underperform. But when you take away Matthews, their record's actually pretty good. I'm not saying Matthews is bad. He's a generational player.
Maybe they sent him to Germany on purpose.
Hope you know German, pal.
Yeah.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah. Oh man.
Nick, let me ask you about this too, and mainly just because you probably know more about it than me. Mark Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Knights. I think, right?
Yeah, he's on the Golden Knights.
Okay, so I've seen something about like him being injured for like the past 2 whole seasons, and then he plays in the playoffs. I don't know if he's doing that this year, but like, what's the deal with that?
This is something kind of rant-worthy, but I'll keep it short. The NHL has this system that Vegas has been, let's say, abusing because they are, and basically. You have a cap throughout the regular season. So right now it's like 85 million, right? If a player goes on long-term injured reserve, that money does not count against your cap. So you can acquire stars, you can acquire players, you can spend draft picks if you're at the peak of your contention window. And then when the playoffs roll around, guess what? The cap goes away. So if you have a player who just magically gets healthy and is like, I'm ready to go when the regular season ends, you can bring them in for the playoffs. The downside is they might be cold, but if they're an excellent player like Mark Stone, he'll be fine. He's just going to step in and be normal. So while he's out, you're acquiring a star using his cap space, and then when the playoffs come, cap space is gone. You can play that new star and Mark Stone, and you'll be over cap. But it doesn't matter. It's the playoffs.
Why the fuck is not everyone doing this?
Yeah, that's really
to me. It sounds like they're smart.
My question though is like, is Mark Stone just like, yeah, I'm just gonna play like 2 months of the year and like collect a paycheck, like cool, and the Knights are okay with that too? Like, yeah, we're gonna pay you millions of dollars, and you know what? Go on vacation. Go on vacation for like 6 months. We don't want to see you. Like, just stay away. That just and then like the guys in the locker room too, like we're busting our ass the whole season, and then this guy's just like, hey guys, what's going on? How you guys doing? Like he's just popping in towards the end of the season after they've been grueling the whole,
that is the most boss situation fucking ever for Mark Stone. Imagine like he just walks in the locker room for the first time, he's like fucking eating food and just coming off of like a hangover or some shit from like a fucking how long month hiatus. Yeah. He's just like, all right, ready to get this thing going.
It's insane.
Phil Kessel energy.
It is little pistol energy, dude.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, that's just a crazy concept to me, and it just surprises me. Like, first off, the rule is stupid; like they shouldn't have that. But it just surprised me that a team is exploiting it like that, and that like everyone's just cool with it, like from the team's perspective and the player's perspective. I don't know.
Yeah, the funny thing is the other teams, all 31 other teams, are not cool with it, and they're trying to make it not happen because it's sort of like a social contract. It's like, yeah, you can do this.
Unwritten rule.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But Vegas doesn't care.
I mean, if I was everybody else, I'd just be like, why the fuck are we not all doing this?
Yeah, right. Well, there's not many players that like, go around too.
But still, like, instead of fighting against it, go fucking do it. Go use it.
One thing that I actually just saw, I got another.
If we could do that with Zibanejad and fucking Panarin, but except they go away for the playoffs, that'd be great.
Don't bring them back.
Don't bring them back.
They should do that with Austin Matthews too for the Leafs.
Honestly, it's a good strategy.
But I just saw a notification that Gary Bettman said the league has not discussed increasing the salary cap above $92.5 million, and that I don't want to say that's surprising, but with the NFL and the NBA, every single year the cap goes up. Over like probably at least the last decade, I think, but maybe more than that. But every single year the cap goes up, and the NHL are like, nah, we can't afford that. Nope, not doing it. Let's just like I feel like.
Well, that's because no one can watch their. Nope, not doing it.
No,
not
Walter,
doing it.
Walter,
easy sport.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but
all right. Anyone got anything else?
I guess I got some NBA stuff.
Okay.
The Cavs were undefeated until about maybe almost 10 minutes ago. Celtics beat them. Cavs were 15.
So the Cavs and the Chiefs lost in the same week.
Yes.
Wow.
I love it. I do not hate the Cavs as much as I hate the Chiefs, though. Yeah. So Cavs will go. Take their first loss. They're still first in the conference. The amount of over 500 teams is improving in the Eastern Conference. Now the Magic and your New York Knickerbockers are showing some progress.
See, I just had a freak out last week. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. So at least in like the bottom part of the league, or bottom part of the Eastern Conference, teams that shouldn't be there, the Bucks, we've already talked about them. They're improving a bit. They're at 5-9 now. The big, I shouldn't say surprise, but the big what's going on there? 76ers, they are 2-11, right?
They're done.
It seems like it, and it's not even like Embiid isn't playing because he just got back and he's playing. So so let's back up a little bit. With when LeBron in his last few years in Cleveland, he kind of coasted by in the regular season. He got an 8 seed. He was still going to make the finals. No big deal, right? He was just whatever. But the Sixers don't have that pedigree. Right, they're supposed to be in the top 4 seeds in the East, especially when you have a former MVP in Joel Embiid, especially when you just get Paul George too to add to your nucleus, and they're sitting literally in last, maybe tied for last with the Raptors, but it's just it's surprising. Right, and I think that they had a team meeting to kind of talk things out, and Joel Embiid might have been called out a bit by Tyrese Maxey, who I alluded to last week, who I think is their best player. But I guess Embiid doesn't show up on time for things, and
are you fucking surprised? The guy doesn't want to play too good.
I agree. Yeah, and I mean, I talked about Milwaukee possibly having to blow things up if. That's not working out. I don't know about the Sixers. That I don't think they can't really do much to fix this. I don't think they have much flexibility in terms of picks and who to move and stuff. And it's not even like they have a bad nucleus. Like I said, they got Embiid as a former MVP. I can't stand this game, but that's beside the point. Paul George, who is formidable. Tyrese Maxey, who is an ascending star. So it's really surprising that they're at 2-11 right now. I love it though.
At what point are you able to say in the NBA, because it's such a long season, is okay, they're cooked? Is it too early?
I mean, teams rip off double-digit win streaks fine. It does happen. It's tough to do, obviously, but
depends on how they look too in the losses, I guess too. Like if they just look miserable, then
I think that's the general vibe of them too, because they had to have a team meeting about like how they're playing. But I don't know. I mean, maybe give it another month, and then because the trade deadline's around like February, so January, February, that's when things start to progress in terms of like trades and stuff. So maybe another month to see where they're at. But 2-11 is pitiful for what they have. Granted, Embiid wasn't playing for the first few games, but he's back now. They should be winning, but he's an out of shape piece of poo, if you ask me. Can't stand the guy. He fucking flops everywhere. But that's that with that. At least in the West, Thunder leading the pack there. I forgot if I mentioned it, but I believe Chet Holmgren, their second-year guy, he's out for an extended time. I forgot what he had, but that's kind of a big blow for them. Warriors still sitting pretty. I don't know if they can maintain this because they're putting a lot on Steph, but and like Andrew Wiggins is actually playing good for a decent amount of time, and Buddy Hield too, who I mentioned a few weeks ago, being top 20 in all-time three-pointers made. It's crazy because no one knows who the hell he is.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're still kind of kicking around. And then Mavericks are 7-7. The West seems much more condensed. It seems because at least with the East, there's a lot more teams below 500, but with the West, a lot of teams like right around, maybe one or two above, one or two below. So things will still kind of shake out over there. And then I guess one other thing to mention, the NBA Cup started, I think, last week. That's have we talked about this, Walter? Do you know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like the in-season tournament. Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla, he's a gem. He has the best sound bites. They asked him, "Oh, what makes the NBA Cup important?" And he said, "Who said that?" he's fucking great. I love this guy. He's fantastic. They really try to push like, "Oh, this is a big deal," which like for the players it is, because I think they get like $500,000 if they win.
They get money.
It's a big payday, right? So some people think that the lower salaried teams kind of play a little bit harder, which it's only the second year of it. That might be some truth to that. But still too early to tell like what's actually going on in terms of like who will be making it, who won't. But that's just something to watch. I think it's Tuesdays, Fridays. They have their games that impact the NBA Cup with and they kind of make it cool where they change like the court designs and wear like specific uniforms and stuff. So I guess it's to draw viewers and it does a decent job of it. So that's pretty much all I got for now.
All right. Well, do we have anything to wrap up on?
I don't think so. No, I got nothing else.
Either. Nick?
Nothing from me.
All right. Well, that will do it with another week of the Amateur Athletic Alliance podcast.
Can you move your head back from the screen, dog? That's terrifying.
Too close.
Your forehead is shiny.
You got the fisheye lens.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll see you guys next week. And Justin, good luck on Saturday.
Same to you, my friend.
Nick, I don't know how the Senators are holding up, but good luck to you too.
Just watch them lose a game. That's why I'm checking my phone.
It'll be okay. Maybe someday they'll be good.
Yep. We're all going to be okay.
Yeah, what's another 7 years?
Yeah, we're all.
That's the spirit.
We're all going to be okay.
Yes. Positive vibes.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Okay. And we'll see everyone next week.
Later.
Adios.